Hello, everybody. How you doing today? It's a new day. It's a fresh day. I hope you're up, shaking, and baking. My guest today is Mr. Stanley, and we call him the online banker. You want to understand
Great.
money in Africa? This is your man. How are you doing, brother?
Fantastic. It's good to be here, Paul.
I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm happy that I'm having you on the podcast because you understand money a lot. You understand the economy. You're a former banker or banker.
I'm
So the
still in
first,
the industry.
Great. So the first question that I want to ask you is, I looked at the earnings call of Zenith Bank, GT,
Mhm.
and Access. They were all in trillions. In fact, Zenith Bank was 3 point something trillion naira.
True.
Access was about 2 point something trillion. GT Bank around that neighborhood. How come that those figures are not trickling down to the real economy? Or is it that there are sectors that are taking a lot of those money? So what's going on? Talk to us.
All right. So if you look at the books of most of the banks, where they made a lot of their money was in treasury. So the real income of banks, the essence of banks, what why banks exist is in financial intermediation, which is taking from the haves and giving to the have-nots. So you, as a rich man, you come to put your money, the poor comes to put their money in the bank, and they try to find a way to meet everybody's need at one point or the other, and then pay interest out of the remaining sum so that there is a reward for using your money.
Yeah.
But what was seen happen in Nigeria was that the Treasury Department, there was an interest rate hike. And with the interest rate hike, there was the easiest money to be made at over 25% was with the government. So the government was looking for who would give them money and they were going to pay you a certain interest rate. So the bank was going to ask, what's risk-free investment? Risk-free, like you're guaranteed pack your money with the government and you receive. So they had, and those banks are liquid. They have customers' deposits in the trillions of naira, and they just put it to work for them. And that's why you saw the return on that amount that was put out there is what gave them a huge chunk of the revenue that they are declaring. And then there's the commission and fees part. So, some of the loans that they gave out some of the loans that they give out, even as much as because of the economy, the nature of the economy, a lot of the loans are challenged because people have issues paying certain loans
Yes.
and then interest rate has accrued because interest rate is really high. So the
Mhm.
number of people that can't take loans and pay back, it becomes really tricky. Then the fees, there's lots of fees within the Nigerian banking system. There's the ATM fees that the CBN allowed to be increased, the cash handling. So a lot of those fees that go on to maintaining an account in those banks. So that contributed greatly to a lot of the profit that was clear. But majorly, you would have um you have some of those banks that were able to give out money. And then you have FX revaluation. So a lot of these banks have foreign currency that they had or they've gotten, fair trade and all that. And by the time you just convert the money from foreign currency, from United States dollars, for example, down to naira, or from GBP, from Great British pounds down to naira, you have like, 2x,
Yes. Their revenue.
3x the value.
Yeah. Yeah.
So those are some of the numbers that you have there.
Great. Great. There's a video that I saw you do, and I thought that was interesting. You you first talked about the earnings of the bank, and then you asked a question that the question you want to ask yourself is where do they, because it's the banks that know where the money is.
Yes, very true.
Mhm. So,
Very
what are
true.
some of those sectors that got a lot of those money in terms of loans? Because it's an indication of where, as entrepreneurs, we should be looking at.
So it's a tricky situation. So number one, like I mentioned, some of the biggest loans are given to government. So it means the government is looking for money to finance projects and all that. So number one. But the way that you can lend to government yourself is through bonds. I know people bought into that. But secondly, there were other places, and that's why the Nigerian economy is a bit how do I put it? Is a bit it's not a normal economy. because there's manufacturing.
Mm-hmm.
So when there's manufacturing sector and the manufacturers could take some of this money because they needed the money
Mm-hmm.
to be able to continue operations. And taking that money at 35%,
Interesting.
30%, depending on the interest rate that they got, was really hard on them. But they needed to take that money because they needed to survive.
Stanley,
So,
I like to break things down to its nuts and bolts, so its first principles. Some people may be
all right.
listening to this, they don't even know what an interest rate is. So explain to them.
Okay.
Give a
Okay.
scenario and say, okay, if somebody collects a loan from a bank of $1 million or $1 million, is meant to pay a 35 or 30% interest. Just work with 10%, for example, interest.
All right.
What
All
is
right.
the duration of the time that the person is paying the bank? That means the person is paying the bank 1 million and
Okay. So let me break it
depends
down.
on the duration. So break it down for them, yeah. So
All
before they
right.
go and collect loan in their bank, yeah, go ahead.
So like I always say, calm down. Let me explain.
Good.
So if, for example, I'm a manufacturer and I want to pick up, so I have like an AC remote here. This is an air conditioner remote,
Mm-hmm.
and this is an LG air conditioner, and I manufacture this remote.
Mm-hmm.
So I need 1 million naira
Good.
to pick up to go and manufacture this.
Mm-hmm.
Because the central bank has increased interest rate to 26%.
Percent.
Now, because they increased that interest rate, that is the minimum interest rate that can be charged. And it's only the government that can give you that. It means that the private individuals need to put something on top. So you don't get loans at even 26%. You start to get loans at from 30%,
Yes.
32%, 33% up. So let's use 30% now. Assuming you're going to pick up this and I'm giving you a 30% interest rate.
Mm-hmm.
It means that by the time you are paying me back for a duration of 1 year,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to pay me 1.3 million
Million,
naira.
yes.
That is on interest alone. Now, there are fees that will be charged when that before this transaction is concluded. I don't know if you can hear me, Paul.
Loud and clear. Yeah. Yes.
Am I breaking up a bit?
No, you're not. You're good. Go ahead. You're good.
I don't know if you can hear me.
I can hear you. You're good. Go ahead, yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes. Go ahead, yeah.
All right. So if you are taking this 1 million and then you're paying back 1.3 million.
Yes.
But before you take that money, there is going to be a fee for management fee for processing, maybe like 1%, 1%. So you're paying maybe like 10,000, 20,000 naira. Maybe in all, you're paying over 350,000,
Yeah.
340, 350, 340,000 for the total loan that you're going to pick up from them.
Yeah.
Now, this money goes to the banks.
Mm-hmm.
But because you as a manufacturer, the number of people that can purchase this, because you need to you need to take that value you've taken from the bank has charged you, and add it to your product.
Yes.
Because you need to recover.
Mm-hmm.
And then the people that can buy your products have reduced because you have priced out certain people because you need to increase your margin. That is why you have a lot of the manufacturers declaring losses while the banks are declaring profits. So it doesn't then add up. And you're saying this part of the economy that is really producing is struggling while the banks are profiting. Then there's a second part of it. So the banks are the warehouse of the money. Thanks to Nigerians in the diaspora like yourself currently, you need to send money back home. And you must pass through the banks. You must pass through the central bank, you must pass through the bank. So some of these remittances are passed through the banks and they have like agreements, and then they get some of these dollars and they don't really do much other than act like the intermediaries. And by the time this money is come back, whether it's foreign exporters that are bringing back their money as export proceeds and all, they can reevaluate that money and house some of that money and declare some of them as revenue at the end by the time they are done. So there are advantages when it comes to the bank, And secondly, I'd like to add this. The the banks have the greatest advantage because everybody comes to them.
Yeah.
So the airline operators need to buy an airline, or someone wants to invest in an airline and you need to come in with the money, you need to come through the banks.
Mhm.
Now, I, as a middleman, have realized that there's a mining site somewhere in Zamfara or somewhere in Kano in Nigeria that I need to take advantage of. The first point of call, if I need to exploit that, is to go to the bank.
Yes.
So inadvertently, the bank now have access to that information that there is a mine somewhere that has profit and they can take advantage. So
Mm.
just yes, last week I made a video about gold, and I told people I think gold was around 3,200 then, and I told people to take advantage of it. And right now, gold's around 3,500. So if you had just listened to that video and took advantage, you had $300 on your investment. But by the time I made that video, can you hear me?
Loud
By
and
the time I
clear.
made that video, by the time I made that video, a bank reached out to me. Sterling, under Sterling, they have the alternative bank,
Mhm.
and so they said something to me that was really fascinating. And I asked them, do you have the physical gold? It's not just that you're investing paper assets. You're like, they are invested in a gold mine in Nigeria where they mine their own gold. So now you can see that that's information and that access is not available to the common man. And that is how high level their transactions go. For example, Dangote refinery is up now, and he's doing transactions worth billions of naira and millions of dollars. It's going through. He's giving out letters of credit and all that, and it's going through banks, and they're charging fees on that, and they're acting as the recipient of some of his funds and helping him to warehouse it. So they have the advantage. So whenever I tell people that the banks are central, whether you live in the United States, you live in the United Kingdom, you live in Africa, you live anywhere part of the world, you cannot escape the banks. And that's why the banks are central to the economy of any country.
Very
Yeah,
good,
that's
very,
it.
very good. So, I mean, my takeaway from this is that you should study the earnings call of all the banks because they know a lot
They
about the
do.
economy, and you say to yourself, where can I position myself to take advantage of the wealth that is going on around? Because hey, even if a manufacturer collects loan from a bank at 30%, he wants to sell that product. If you can
Hmm?
show him how he can sell that product, you have somebody of value to him. Makes a lot of sense. Stanley, what are some of the Nigerian companies that you look at and you admire them and say you go like they get it, they understand the economy, and why?
Hmm. So first of all, I'll start from the traditional point,
Mhm.
and I will, for everyone listening, there's a reason the richest people in Nigeria are the guys producing the needs of the country, not the wants. If you live in the third world like Nigeria, you look for the needs and not the wants. The first world has conquered the needs. That is why LMVH, the
Is
LMVH group,
LVMH,
LVMH, I always
LVMH,
mix it up.
the
LVMH
luxury
group
company, yeah,
is the owner is one of the richest people in the
in the
world
world, yeah.
because you've conquered food, you've conquered shelter, and then onto luxury now.
Mhm.
But there is no luxury brand owner in Nigeria that is first 200 on the list of richest Nigerians. But
No way.
on the first 10, you have people producing cement, flour,
This guy is smart.
electricity, oil, refining oil. So they are producing the needs of Nigeria. So people at the point where they are, we have a critical mass. And if I tell people to give me a million, 1.2 million naira today for a Birkin, even if I price it down for Birkins that are like $20,000, but I say just give me 1.2 million, a lot of people still wouldn't be able to do it. But if I can find a way to sell a bag of cement to build my house that my family would live in for 9,000 naira, I will squeeze out 900,000 to buy 100 bags because it's a need for me. I need to feed my family, so I need to be able to buy flour for bread or flour for pasta. I need to be able to buy noodles for me to be able to feed my family and just quick food that everybody can eat. I need to be able to buy eggs.
Yeah.
So the guys that are getting it, I'll use number one, the Tolerant group.
Okay. The Indomie guys.
The Indomie guys. Now,
they're Indians, huh?
So they've been in the country. There are some guys that I really admire. They understand the market. And they've replicated their success in so many brands. So they were first in noodles, and they became the household name where people brand. What do you call that in sales? Where you call everybody goes to say, "Give me Indomie instead of noodles."
Yes. They have the 100% market share.
So
yes, they have now become a verb.
Yes. So they say, "Give me Indomie." You're not saying give me noodles. You're saying give me Indomie. You are literally telling them. The man now says, "Okay, I now have." They now say, "I have Mimi Indomie, and I have Golden Penny Indomie." It's noodles, but to the average man, you get Indomie. So that's the thing. They have become that go-to, and they understand distribution. A great deal.
A great deal.
Understand
I understand that they just entered another industry. I was listening to a YouTube video. They just bought controlling share
in Guinness.
Yes.
In Guinness. I was coming to Guinness. Now they went after this thing. They went into the home space, the home and sanitary space, and got into hypo.
Oh, they own hypo now.
Yeah, so the hypo, it used to be Jik. I don't know if you remember when you were in Nigeria.
I know.
And then they now took hypo to become so everybody goes, "Give me hypo."
Yes, I use hypo a lot in Nigeria. I use it.
So it's hypo now. So they understood that distribution. Now they saw Guinness was struggling with their sales, and Guinness was declaring profits. But just recently, Guinness I think they raised to declare profits. They understand distribution a great deal. So I give it to them. They are going for what the consumables, number one, what they know that you need every day. They get the numbers, they get the pricing, they get the distribution. And they understand how to use their manpower to get that done. So kudos to them.
I want to read a quote on distribution for you, but go ahead.
All right. So I would give it to that group. Another group that I really do admire, which is still in the agri space, is Okumo Oil. What they've been able to do with them and Presco, what they've been able to do with the palm oil business in Nigeria. Despite the headwinds that they face, they've continued to churn out very good profits year in, year out. And the value of their stock keeps appreciating. So I give it to them. Still within the food space, they are doing some amazing work.
This is very good. I love what you just said about distribution being a key, critically important. In fact, Peter Thiel said that superior distribution will make a business successful, even if the person doesn't have a superior product.
True. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree.
So-
And coming to a market like Nigeria. So if we talk about distribution,
Mhm.
there is a model that most of the FMCGs use and the pharmaceuticals. So they run a similar model.
Mm.
You will notice that for a lot of pharmacists
Mhm.
that have been in the space where they were in the sales department, you can easily move from things like FMCG into that space and be successful because
Mm.
they run a similar model.
That's right.
They understand. They understand. Let me use Nigerian breweries for example. If Nigerian
Sorry,
breweries
Stanley.
were,
Can I read the quote for you now? I think you will like it. It
yeah, yes,
ties
you
into
can.
what you're saying.
All
He
right.
said superior sales and distribution by itself can create a monopoly. Even with no product differentiation, the converse is not true. That means even if you have a superior product, but if you have a terrible distribution, you will fail. If you have a less superior product, but you have an amazing distribution, you win. And that's what Indomie and that Indian family gets in Nigeria.
Yes, I agree with you. And give it to Dangote too. Give it to Dangote, the Dangote group.
Mhm.
There is no Nigerian road that you will ply, major highway, that you will not see a Dangote truck go past you after 30 minutes to 1 hour.
Powerful.
So they understood, like when Dangote started, he understood that they didn't have trains for him to distribute his cement around the country. So what did he do? He went into trucking,
Yeah.
directly into trucking. He did not go to buy trucks. He went directly into trucking. He was able to partner with a Chinese company. I think it's Sinotruck, or I've forgotten the name of the truck. And they went into trucking. Then they found out that diesel was a problem in terms of cost. Dangote trucks have been running on gas in Nigeria for at least 10 years.
Really?
Yes, they've been running on CNG in Nigeria for almost 10 years.
Oh, the spirit of an entrepreneur, resilience,
So
fighter.
he understood that challenge long time, that I can't compete in terms of funding for diesel. How much would it cost for the people that I'm going to truck my goods to? But if I were to use compressed gas, where it wasn't that popular like it is, like the government is trying to enforce it now, I could reduce my costs and maintain share, maintain price for the people and still retain customers.
Mm.
So it's still about that whole distribution part of it. And then I was trying to talk about like places like Nigerian breweries.
Mhm.
Nigerian breweries, once you open up your store and they see that you are attracting attention within that space,
Mhm.
they come to give you the first thing they come to do. One marketer comes to give you free a freezer, a display freezer with some show glass and all that
And
because
it's
they
branded.
understand, and it's branded, and they tell you can't have competition goods in it.
Come on now, Monopoly. I like that.
Yeah, so once they get that for you, you're like, okay, I don't need to go and buy a freezer, to cool my drinks. I have these people and they can supply me at even a discount or give me like promos. So what am I even looking for? So they try as much as possible to push out Nigerian breweries products to you. Irrespective. So when you come around and say, "Oh, do you have Guinness?" It's like, no, we have Legend.
Come on, bro. I like that.
So in that space, some of these guys have been able to maintain share and remain relevant within the economy over the past 60, 50 years, 40, 30, 30, 40 years in Nigeria. Despite economic headwinds, they understand these dynamics
A
and it has
lot.
helped them to stay afloat.
A lot. Ah, this is. So Stanley, from your understanding of the markets and your study of financial services in Nigeria, what's your advice to a small business owner who wants to either start or scale? What kind of product should they be looking at? And on the side of distribution now and of its importance, what advice would you give to them from what even the banks are great at distribution?
Yes, they are. I agree
Great
with
at
you.
distribution. Yeah, go ahead.
I agree with you. For someone as an entrepreneur looking out to start, I would say the first thing, most importantly, that I would that will advise is that your passion, you should look at it twice. You know, some
Mm.
people are passionate. You're passionate about, I'm passionate about art, creating a center where it's artistic and I can have people within a class. Mm-mm. The data doesn't support you
Mm.
because you can start and have, the initial critical mass. Some people want to experience that initially,
Mhm.
but you probably might not be able to scale one. And then you become so niched that if the class of people that you want decide at any time that your goods has become luxury and not a need for them, you could easily just shut down. So when they start to prioritize their needs, as the economy has been moving left and right in Nigeria, and they decide to take cut costs, you're one of the most likely people to be cut. But you can look around and look for the needs.
Mm.
You
Mm.
can look around and look for the needs. The needs are some of the most critical points in Nigeria at the moment, and there are a lot. I was listening to a talk by some guy, I've forgotten his name. He's a Pan-Africanist, and he was saying something, and it was profound. He said that the education we have, the education that we have in places like Asia,
Mhm.
is tailored for the economy.
Mm.
So they are training people specifically for the economy, for the needs in the economy.
Yeah.
So they need railway workers. So Nigeria doesn't have rails. So the government intentionally plans for universities to up their take on railways and then brings experts to train people on railways.
Mm.
Then when they now start to graduate, there is already a job. You don't need to go. The government is looking for railway workers because they are intentionally trying to build railways. So they just align and start to build railways. So people are now hungry to go to school and study railway engineering or something concerning railway because they know there is a job for railways.
Mm.
Same thing in the say if you are trying to push cotton production, petroleum, or whatever sector or healthcare, whatever it is that you are prioritizing as an economy, you go and take people, train them, and then give them back to the economy.
I
That is how
like
you
it.
stay gainfully employed. But what we have in Nigeria, I'm still coming back to your question. I just wanted to throw more light
Sure, sure.
to this. So, so what we have at the moment is that we have a disconnect. So people are going in mass to do whatever. Then they come back to the economy and try to fit into whatever the economy is looking for. That's why you will see people say there are vacancies that people cannot occupy. That's the mismatch. So now comes down to what you asked for an entrepreneur that wants to start.
Mm.
Don't don't try to start a business. It sounds very easy, but it's not easy. Look out for what people are looking for,
That's
are
right.
in demand for. And it's not the same everywhere.
Mm.
It's
Mm.
not the same everywhere. If you are in a locality where they don't have water, where it's difficult to source water, and you can get 4 trucks, even if you borrow the money, and
That's
you can
smart.
get 4 trucks to get water from a local place, and then every day you're supplying each house water at the cost of 2,000 naira, you will be oversubscribed.
You make bank.
But if you come to Abuja, for example, where I currently live,
As a big boy.
can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I don't know if you can hear me. Hello,
Yes, I
Paul.
can. Go ahead. I can hear you. Go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead.
So
Keep going.
if you come to Abuja where I live, where the water board is functional, I don't even need to dig a borehole. The water board is functional. I turn on my tap and there is water.
Yeah.
It's not applicable. So if you're talking to someone in Abuja, the person will be looking at you as a foolish person.
Mm, 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 mm,
The person
mm.
might be looking at you as a foolish person. But if you come to Abuja, for example, and you open a mom and dad pop store where you can come to their houses, take their kids when they are going to work, take them to school, bring them back, feed them, or provide tailored services for like maid services, for example, for households, for people that work 9 to 5. You realize that there are a lot of people that are looking for trusted hands in the cities.
I like that.
Trusted hands. And then you come up to places like this, and then I see a lot of people that are interested in investment, like what I do. I can't go to a village in Lagos or in Ogun State, for example, or back in the east
Mm-hmm.
where I'm from,
Mm-hmm.
and go and tell them, oh, I'm preaching investment, how you can turn your 2 million naira, if you have 10 million naira to buy stock.
They will take you
And I go to this
seriously.
guy. They will take me seriously.
I like that.
So the need of the product, you need to check for the need. Don't worry about, keep your plans, keep your fancy ideas.
Mm.
Get the there's one of my my online, he doesn't know he's my mentor, Scott Galloway, Professor Scott Galloway. I listen to
Yeah.
him a lot.
Yeah.
He
He's
said
a
that
smart guy, but he doesn't like Trump. So hey,
yeah,
he's
he
very
doesn't like
bitter.
Trump.
He's very
He's
bitter right now.
Yeah, yes. He's a pure Democrat. He's a pure
Yeah.
Democrat.
Yeah.
Scott is as well. But I like his ideas because I
He's a
resonate to
smart
some
dude.
of the things that
Smart
he
dude,
says.
man. Smart
And
dude. Yeah.
some of the things that I hope to push out to.
Yeah, I can hear you. Go
I don't
ahead,
know if you
please.
can. I don't know
Loud
if you
and
can.
clear. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so there's something he said. He said that he tells young people not to follow their passion. That someone that is telling you to follow, um, what do you call it? As someone that's telling you not to follow, that's telling you to follow his passion, probably made his money in iron core smelting, in not sexy ideas. So, for example, in Nigeria, Dangote comes out and tells you need to be diligent and this thing. He made his money in scraping iron in tin and columbite from the ground and converting it to cement. If you go to the production site of where they produce cement, it is
Mm.
not sexy at all. If you go to
Mm.
where crude oil is produced, it is not sexy. Crude oil sounds nice when you hear $70 per barrel or $50 per barrel. It is a messy and tedious work. It is messy and tedious. But what a lot of people, especially young people today, are looking for things that do not, you don't need to do so much. I can literally sit in the office. I don't need to apply so much pressure. And yes, that thing you're looking for, a million people are looking for it too.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
the competition is high. But by the time you go down into needs, into going down to needs,
yeah.
you'll find out that extra mile that you're going to go,
Very good.
there is no,
Very, very,
it's always an empty road.
very, very good. I mean, I'm not an economist, but I think there's an economic term for this. They say that demand curve slopes downwards. So that means that the more difficult a thing is to do, the less people you find doing it.
Yes,
It's
true.
like when you raise the price of a product, less people want that product. So what I'm hearing you say is that do the hard thing.
Do the hard thing.
There's less competition there.
There's less competition there.
Like what you're doing now is very intellectual. Not everyone can just say, I want to jump on and do what you're doing. So you've created a moat. You've created a moat, as it were, around yourself. Stanley, this is a great conversation. As we begin to wrap this conversation, or what are some of the books that have inspired you, or the podcast or the YouTube video that you watch and go like, oh my goodness, this is the book I'm currently reading right now. I'm reading Willie Fisher's book on Onassis.
Okay.
Oh my
What's
God,
it?
this is the shipping magnet. At some point, the guy was the
Oh,
richest man in the world. Great book. I bought this book
whoa,
for 30 pence in a second-hand store, and I saw the book on Amazon for 106 pounds.
whoa,
The book is a treasure. But yeah, go ahead. So, what are
whoa.
some of the books that have inspired and sort of like
So
motivated you?
so I read books. I read autobiographies. I like to read I like to read books on economics. Um, books like Why Nations Fail
Yeah.
and not the sexy books like Adam Smith, Wealth of Nations.
Mm.
So it gets you to understand
How
things
the world
from like the
works.
first how the
Yes.
world works. And I'm really interested, like Ray Dalio's
Yeah.
I listen to a lot. I listen to him a lot, and then I
Mm.
listen to the guys that talk about wealth creation too.
Great.
Like I mentioned, I'm a huge fan of Scott Galloway's pod too.
He's not
So
my guy.
that he's not your guy, okay? And then Naval. Naval is
Oh
someone that
my God, don't go there, Never
Naval.
Ravikant. His book.
Na-
Oh.
is it the Almanac?
Oh my God, that book changed my life.
Which one, the Almanac?
Yes, the Almanac of Naval Ravikant changed my life.
Yeah. So I listen to Naval a lot, and I've been listening to him, and he challenges the way that that I think in terms of. So I have a lot of people in different spaces that I listen to regularly, and I want to hear some of their thoughts. And what it does for me is that it changes my perspective, like the way I look at the economy most times. When I talk to people, they're like, "Oh, you sound really smart." Like, no, it's not it. It's just the way that I have listened to these people and they make me think about things is no longer the conventional way.
Way, yeah, I like
Like,
that.
yeah, I'm not thinking, okay, everybody's rushing towards a particular place now. There's a reason they are going there. And it means that there is somewhere that the train has probably shifted. When like Naval will say, if there's an opportunity and everybody knows about it, it means the train
It's
has
too
left.
late. It's
Like
too late. Yeah.
it's too late. You are late to the party. So it's there when people haven't gotten there. And when they are getting there, you're supposed to be looking out for where is the train moving next. Just like I would advise most Nigerians now at the moment, looking forward to next year and next 2 years, I would tell them to protect their money. I think I put out a video today. I'll tell them to protect their wealth in there. Find if you're going to be making money in there, find a way to protect your savings because there might be devaluation coming.
What are these ways, steps to protect your savings?
So you need to go to number one, you need to find assets that are not in just your currency. So find a way to expose yourself to things like gold, for example, like gold stocks. Now, gold stocks are likely going to fall because gold has priced itself. But over the years, gold has remained a hedge against inflation since the time of Solomon, since the time of Solomon till today. And there's a reason for that. Gold does not increase more than 2% annually.
Mhm.
You can check that. So it's difficult because of the uniqueness of gold, the properties of gold. Gold is difficult to find and mine, and the amount of gold globally does not increase more than 2% annually. While the printing of different currencies can go to Nigeria printed how many billion and still suffering from it during the last administration. So some of those things you need to put in place. And you're in real estate, buying lands in by having properties in significant spots. Most times for you guys in real estate that sell real estate, it's not that the value of the real estate has greatly the value increases at one hand, and then secondly, the value of some of the local currencies drop.
Mm.
So you are hedging at some point, and then appreciation on the other hand.
That's a very smart
When
move.
when you have when you have properties in very good spots, that's why you come back to a place and they tell you it's now 300 million as opposed to 150 million. And in some other places, not just that there has been an appreciation it's just that it's been a depreciation of the value of some of the currencies. But some places there is even an appreciation because of maybe the surrounding buildings, the access roads, infrastructure that has come up to that place and maybe some significance around there. So that's another thing. And then agriculture, we're just talking about food. Nigerians spend so much on food and we'll keep spending so much on food, at least going into the first year. And once inflation rises, one of the first places to hit is its food items. So if you can find a way that your money is directly correlated to the rise in price, where you can increase your price. So have your money in stocks. When I mean stocks, so if inventory, for example. So if you have your money, if you're a business person, you can have your money in certain inventories that no matter what, all you need to do is just increase your price.
Yeah, they're not very perishable, yeah.
Yes, yes. So if they are, price of things have gone up, so it's no longer 17 naira, it's now 120 naira. So the value of your goods. So those are just a typical ways of, and it cuts across different fields. In the US, people have been crying about the price of eggs. And whenever they talk, they say, has the price of eggs come down? That's how they calculate. But still some of it, you find the way to protect yourself. Because we're going into an election from next year, we're almost full swing on elections because they start to politic and they start to bring in money. And money will flood the system because they are trying to use that money to
win elections.
To win elections.
Sway the election.
Over the years, it's history repeats itself. 2023, just after the election in 2023, 2022 or 2023? 2023, yes?
Yeah.
When was the last elections in Nigeria? 2023.
2023, yeah.
By the middle of 2023, the currency, by the end of 2023, the currency had devalued by almost 30%. By the end of 2023, all the monies that they had brought out had increased inflation. So they were trying to manage it. Even by the next year, the government had to officially devalue the currency. So people are going to bring back their monies. And the politics of Nigeria being what it is at the moment, because of lack of reforms, lack of institutions and all, it's just going to be a pure money and grab system. So people should watch out for that. Great. And investors too are going to be very wary of, okay, if there's going to be instability here, I should take my money. And as they're taking their monies to try to hedge, price of things will go up, interest rates might go up to try to retain some of that capital, and it could still affect the value of your naira. So just to think forward and think, more progressive.
Stanley, this has been a masterclass, man. Where do people go to get more of your stuff? Do you have a course coming up, a book, a podcast?
Yes, I actually have. So just because you're my guy, I'm going to put out. So I have a course coming up, and it's called Drunken Naira. Saying this for the first time, you're the first person to hear this.
Wow!
Outside to other people. So the course is called Drunken Naira, and it's the fact that the Naira acts in a drunken way. So today, it's sleepy. Tomorrow, it's agile.
It's driving. The Naira has mood swings.
I don't know if you can hear me. You're frozen a bit.
No, I said the Naira has mood swings. It has mood swings.
It has mood swings. Yes, because today it's high, today it's low, but mostly it's not stable. So it's just around, if you need to put your money in anything that has to do with the Naira, I'm going to expand that. I hope to expand that within other African countries too. But if you're going to put anything that has to, before you do that, take my course.
Great. So I'm going to put a link in the show notes for guys to get the course and follow Mr. Stanley. He's a great guy, fascinating conversation.
Thank you.
I will get back to you again in another quarter. Let's see, maybe the Q4 of the year, we'll have this conversation again to see how the economy is going and then the right decisions that we can take. I got a lot of value from this. Yes, I hope all my listeners will. So guys, click on the subscribe button if you haven't done that. If you're watching this on YouTube, write a comment. If you're listening to this or watching this on Spotify, write a comment, share it, follow Mr. Stanley. The online banker on Instagram is very active. There are over 100,000 subscribers, followers, man. This guy, he has 50% more followers than I have, man.
No, the followers, just the information. You're doing amazing work. I follow you and I tell you I learned a lot about sales from you.
Oh
So,
my goodness. So
sales
yes.
coach, thanks.
So
Thanks for having me
thank
on.
you, Stanley, for calling. Let me stop the recording and then we can just gist a little bit. Oh my
All
God,
right,
this
that's
has been
fine.
a very good one.